windsock, the wind is invisible. You can't see it. However, you can see the reactions on things that it touches. Windsocks come in all different shapes, sizes. Sometimes they're used for safety. Wind. You can feel it going through the hairs on your arms or on your face. Most often, you can read it if you have something out there that you can see. Not all windsocks are the same. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build and use a windsock properly for paragliding. You know, I don't think it's talked about enough. I know it's been a while since I've talked about it. You can learn so much about the sky just by observing a windsock, and preferably a very long wind ribbon such as I've got here. It's just the tool for the job. You don't use a Phillips head screwdriver on a flathead screw, so you don't want to use some kind of big ass airport cone-shaped windsock to figure out what the sky's doing as far as micrometeorology, paragliding, and local wind conditions. It'll give you the big wind that matters for airplanes, sure, but that's not what we're concerned with. We're concerned with reading the air on a micro scale. We want to know exactly what it's doing. There's just no substitute. No substitute at all. So I get these 20-foot Black Widow fishing poles, a BW6 they call it, 20-foot length. Got 6 parts, I guess, and made in China, of course, like everything. What we're gonna do is we're gonna support it in the back here with a piece of pipe. On the inside, we're gonna glue that in there, or maybe a wood dowel. There's a couple of options we have that we can use. Anything really that kind of gives it some support. Okay, so I've removed the base. It was just glued on. You just got to break the adhesive. I just kind of cut this little piece off. I don't use that anymore. But now you can take this part and it sits in there nice. But I am going to support it here. Otherwise, if the wind blows, it creates a stress point right here and you'll actually crack this fishing pole. This is just some thin little fiberglass. It's not really strong. You get enough force on it enough times and it will crack. So I'm going to take some epoxy and I'm going to fill this in here and basically glue that there. Once I get the inside beefed up, I'm going to glue that onto the bracket and then I'm going to tape it up. And that gives it, I find that that's the best way to do these, to make them work and be functional and fully supported. This was like a little stopper that came with the fishing pole itself. It fits exactly into this. Exactly. I need to kind of knock the edges off a little bit, but I'm going to use this as a buffer so that when all these pieces come down, like when you disengage it, when they come down and slap this, it doesn't damage these bottom pieces. So I'm going to put that in there as kind of a buffer, and I'm going to stick it way up here so that it'll be on top of this piece. This piece will be glued in there for the support. This is going to be sitting in there. I'm also going to drill holes in the bottom of this for a drain in case moisture gets in there. It'll give it a way to get out. So I'm going to take care of that right now. So I actually had a lot of footage of me welding this base and cutting everything. The metal part there that's spray painted orange. It's just a piece of angle iron and a piece of scrap. I used this gold quarter here. It was the perfect diameter. Cut the edges off so water could get by. And that just provides support for the pipe. This is just a scrap piece of pipe that I had laying around. Wrapped it in some tape so that it would fit snugly inside the tube. Yeah, just a little daub of clear silicone to kind of keep everything in place, and it should hold up forever, at least for the life of the pole. So rubber buffer goes in first, followed by pipe that is snugged up to the inside of the tube so it doesn't move around in there. And then I'm going to finish it off by securing the base with some more of the clear silicone just to keep it steady. All right, so this is gonna be test number 1 with the new windsock. Never flown, so we're gonna take its virginity today. All right, let's video the first stab. You ready? Nice. Pulling it out is no issue either. So I'm gonna find a good spot to set this thing. The winds are blowing pretty good. I got some students coming over for ground handling today. The winds are out of the north. So that's gonna allow us to do training right here at my property. Don't really have to go to the airport if we're not flying. So we can do ground handling operations here, and it's gonna be pretty nice. I'm gonna set this camera up and we're gonna get some windsock footage. We've got a nice moderate thermal day happening today. Good dense wind, so we're gonna video some windsock footage. I'm gonna compare it to these tubular windsocks that I sewed up and just see what differences we can see with these things. So as you can see, both of these, whether it be a tube or a streamer, are very comparable. Both have my stamp of approval for properly reading wind conditions. The tubes tend to last a little longer because they're sewed up. The streamers, more portable. So we find ourselves at the field. Students kiting in the gusty midday conditions. They're doing well. That's Jim, Bill, Bob, all of them soon to be graduated from the Kyleoschool School of Paramotor. Look at these boys practice. Speed wing already. Make it look good, Bill. That's right. All I gotta do is pull a camera out if I want to fumble them up. That's all it takes. Don't tell him I'm filming him, okay? This is Bob, day 2. Jim, day what, 3, 4?
3, I think.
3, that's right. Bill, day 489. Make it look good. Okay, so the real reason that I came out here was to discuss the windsock. I've been videoing the windsock for the last couple of months. Hopefully I've got enough footage to make a somewhat relative video about the windsock. Why it's important, what we're looking for, what we can get from it. It's probably the most useful tool that we have available to read the wind conditions, the flying conditions, what's going on. You can tell a lot about what's going on with the air just by looking at our friendly little windsock here. It's an amazing tool. So we're gonna watch it for a minute and we're gonna talk about what we're seeing. What's going on as far as conditions is the sun has just went behind a super high layer of cirrus clouds. That's gonna dampen the thermal activity quite a bit. The winds are gonna lay down really nice. The gusts are gonna be subsided. We would expect that. It was honking a while ago. I was out here doing some midday practice. All was well. I was having a good time. But I'm watching the windsock. The whole time that I'm low to the ground and I'm practicing, I'm watching the windsocks to see what's happening. I'm feeling what I'm feeling in the air. Again, what we should see is things smooth out a little bit. I just felt a gust come by. It was very mild. We're gonna watch it hit this windsock here. Nice. Yeah, again, everything's dampened, just like when the moon goes over it during an eclipse. That's the first thing I noticed was the thermal activity severely diminished. So we find ourselves in a lull here. Everything's getting light and then it'll pick up. So it's shifting around to the southeast, which has been predominantly what we've been seeing today. That's what they were predicting. That tells me that what we're seeing is the meteorological winds. Not too much thermals that are causing that. The thermals cause the lulls, they cause the gust, they cause the directions to change drastically. But what we're seeing right here, oh, see now it's going a little more east. So that tells me there's some thermal activity pulling it this way. Probably directly behind us, we've got a thermal probably coming off of this field. And it's drawing the air so that windsock is pointing at it. Generally, when you have multiple windsocks set up, they will point toward the thermal as it's coming loose. I may do that. I think I've got a few windsocks. We may set up like a row of them. The smoke machine works pretty good for that, but you can still read what you need to with a wind ribbon. Now, these particular type of windsock, this long, lightweight ribbon, this is the same material that they make paragliders with. It's ripstop nylon. These are kite tails. This is a 15-foot kite tail. So having the length makes it really easy to read what's going on. You can see the rolls. You can see that right there. You see it lifting? That was a thermal, just a little thermal bumping it, lifting it up like that. If it was just a gust, it wouldn't roll, it would just stand out. When the wind is smooth, there's almost no movement to that ribbon. It looks like a statue. It could be standing out just as far, but it's not moving around. The movement that you see is due to the thermal activity switching around on it. So if the wind was laminar, it would find an equilibrium and just float there. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of movement coming in and out of it. And it's shifting east. Okay, now it's showing due east. So yeah, for sure there's a thermal coming loose. It's very, very light. Again, oh look, now it's shifting around out of the north a bit. But because the sun's energy has been dampened, we're not seeing like a huge movement. As far as the changes, how quick it's spinning around, how quick it's lulling, how quick it's gusting, everything should be dampened quite a bit. I just noticed like everything darkened some, so even less energy. It's coming back around to the southeast again. Very light though, very, very light. See how quick that moved? It wasn't quick at all. That means that it wouldn't cause like any big negative stuff. If you were coming into land, you might notice it shift a little, but it's not gonna be like choppy, fast, hard on the brakes type maneuvering that would need to happen. Well, the sun just got a little brighter. Before I ever go fly, the first thing I like to do is watch the windsock. I watch it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I look out in the distance, I see what's coming, I see what the birds are doing, I see how the clouds are moving. I check the sources online. Basic, fundamental piloting is figuring out what's going on before you take off. And if you figure that out, that's like half the battle. That was like half of pilot school when I learned to fly airplanes, was learning the weather and the airplanes and the procedures. You know, actually flying the plane was just a portion of the things that you had to learn to become a pilot. And with paramotors, some people learn that and that's it, and they don't learn anything else. But being able to read what the air is doing, nothing better than a windsock. I mean, I just love this thing, and we're gonna watch it for a minute and talk about it. So today, what we're seeing, it looks super smooth, probably 5-6 miles an hour. These are prime conditions. I mean, prime conditions. There's very little lateral movement. You don't see it swaying back and forth very much, so the wind window is very tight. The speed changes are not very much either, so it's not moving up and down as much. The rolling motion, the thermals that are pulling the windsock, when it's doing this, I don't see much of that either. There's a tiny bit. Look, there's a little shift in it there. So minor though. Should you be kiting in a situation like that? It happens slow. There's not very much magnitude to it. Yeah, it should be good. Should be good. That's all I need to see really. It's been doing this for 5 minutes, but I'm not gonna make you watch 5 minutes worth of windsock, okay? Plus I'm ready to go fly. My gear's set up and we're ready to rock. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go up there and do something. I'll make some kind of video today. I got my cameras cleared out. Winds are good, let's do it. So for the rest of this video, we're going to just observe the windsock and talk about what we're seeing. And we're gonna start with the lower end of the spectrum. As you can see here, this is early morning, the windsock is barely moving. This is 1-2 miles an hour. Relatively difficult conditions for anybody. So if you see this, you know, make sure you're lined up directly with the wind. It's probably a good day. Here's another shot of an earlier morning. This is about 8:30 on a weekday morning. I think I was on my way to work and just stopped and grabbed some footage. Not much movement to the air at all. It's just sort of standing idle. 1-2 miles an hour. This is what it looks like. These are good conditions, smooth conditions. You can get behind things in these conditions and there's no rotor to speak of. Nothing dangerous. Now we step over into the perfect winds. These are what you're looking for, the golden nugget of wind conditions. You can do forward, you can do reverse, very minimal turbulence, as long as the winds aloft are not too bad. But we're discussing surface winds. This is another excellent prime example of what you want. This would be absolutely perfect. These are the conditions that I look for to send new students up on their first flights. Now, from this point, we're going to step off into a little bigger conditions. This is more punchy air. You get some rolling thermals whipping the windsock around at speed. The changes are fast. Things are happening. These are conditions you want to be seasoned with. You don't want to go out as a new guy and step into something like this. You could take a whack, you could take a shift in the wind, spin around, and get bit hard. Another example of a very similar situation going on right here. Actually, this is pretty good. This is maybe a little better. There's still some thermals rolling around. It's still changing direction. All things to consider. You want to watch out for the movement. How fast? How much? Look, yeah, see, it's getting kind of squirrely there. So again, Moderate day. This is what I would call a moderate day. Nothing too fast, nothing happening too extreme. Here's an example of two different windsocks set out in the same situation. They're probably separated by 50, 70 feet, but you can see how the big one is showing almost nothing, and the long one is indicating everything, all the little nuances to the air, the way it moves around. Here they're kind of lining up. Oh, there's yours truly testing out some gear. I look at the cycle that I picked to launch in. Nice, smooth, straight conditions. Not too thermally, not too switchy, but we're going to look at some footage of the same day here in a minute, and I'm just going to show you what happens between the cycles. So this is a steadiest in the wind. It's not like this the whole time though. Watch this. Here we've got the same day, but the thermals are breaking loose. Look at this windsock twirling around in the wind and lifting off. That's because there's a thermal breaking loose out of the field right here. You don't see it as much on the big sock, but look at the little ribbons. They'll tell you right quick there's some stuff breaking loose, the back left of where we're looking. So yeah, just something to study on. An example of good laminar beach winds. Yeah, baby, Paramotor point. Sometimes the windsocks are pointed different directions altogether. A while ago, this one right here was pointed this direction, and that one was pointed that direction. Of course, I ran for the camera, and now they straighten it up. There's Dave Ruff, test flying Sarah's wing. And ultimately, I did capture footage of the windsocks pointing in different directions. Here's another day at the house. This was looking out my bedroom window, deciding if I wanted to go or not. Perfectly doable, but a little bumpy. Now this is on a mountain. This is thermals breaking loose about 11 a.m. on a mountaintop a couple weeks ago. And the windsock was just rolling around like this. It turned out to be a good day. I thermaled for several hours this day. But you can see them lifting up the side of the mountain there and rolling that windsock. Very good visual indicator that there's thermal activity when you get those big rolls like that. Here's some more. This is later in the evening on the same day, and a pilot doing an evening flight. Notice how the rolls are much more subsided. With Kylo. It's my dad, y'all. So that's it for the windsock video. We're going to cut it here. That's all the footage I've collected.
We cut the price to only $100 today. Come fly with Kyle. First class.
$100, they're going to overrun me, man.
Oh.
It's bad enough at 1,000.
Oh, that was my price. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. Much love, everybody. Kyle out.